must not become a new accumulation strategy for private capital. The energy path must be sequenced at a pace the country can afford, while protecting workers, communities, and energy security, industrialization, and the environment. South Africa must use an appropriate energy mix, including renewable energy, coal, and nuclear, under public ownership and democratic planning, while investing in cleaner technologies, environmental rehabilitation, local manufacturing, and decent work. Conference rejects externally imposed transition models that destroys livelihoods, that weaken sovereignty, that deepen energy insecurity, and turn the climate crisis into a new market for private profit. The conference affirms the progressive internationalism and radical pan-Africanism as strategic principles of the left. Our struggle is a part of a wider world struggle against capitalism, neocolonialism, imperialism, racism, patriarchy, war, occupation, sanctions, and economic domination. The conference stands for peace against war, against militarism, and against imperialist aggression. The struggle for peace is inseparable from the struggle against imperialism, occupation, sanctions, resource plunder, and the domination of weaker nations by powerful states. Africa remains trapped in systems of dependency, created and reproduced by imperialism. We refer to debt dependency, unequal trade, extractive export structures, foreign control of strategic resources, currency vulnerability, illicit financial flows, and dependence on institutions that discipline sovereign development of countries. The task is not isolation from the world. The task is strategic de-linking from imperialist dependency while deepening integration with Africa and the global South. The conference called for continental economic integration based on industrialization, food sovereignty, public control over strategic resources, regional value chains, shared infrastructure, technology transfer, cooperation among workers, peasants, women, and progressive states. The conference supports alternative finance systems that reduce dependence on imperialist-dominated financial institutions and speculative capital. Public and development banks, community or cooperative banking, regional and settlement systems, the use of local and regional currencies where appropriate, debt audits, measures against illicit financial flows, and finance directed towards production, employment, industrialization, and social ownership. Africa integration must not reproduce neo-colonial extraction under a new name. It must be people-centered, worker-conscious, sovereign, developmental, and directed towards liberation from capitalism, neo-colonialism, and imperialism. The conference expects solidarity with the oppressed masses of the world, including the people of Palestine, Cuba, Venezuela, Iran, Western Sahara, and the Sahel. It supports the right of oppressed people in sovereignty, self-determination, dignity, and the liberation and peaceful development. The conference supports South Africa's case at the International Court of Justice against Israel under the Genocide Convention and calls for intensified solidarity with the people of Palestine, including public mobilization, boycotts, divestment, sanctions, legal accountability, and isolation of institutions complicit in apartheid, Israel, occupation, and genocide. Conference supports the liberation and self-determination of the people of West Sahara. It further expresses solidarity with the people of Sahel in their struggle against neo-colonial domination, foreign military threats, resource extraction and destabilization and dependency. Conference expresses solidarity with the people of Iran against imperialist aggression, unilateral sanctions, military threats, regime change operations, and violations of national sovereignty. It affirms the right of all nations to sovereignty, self-determination, peaceful development, and equal treatment under international law. Solidarity with Iran against imperialism does not mean silence on the struggles of workers, of women, of youth, of popular forces inside any society. Conference support de-dollarization, strengthened global South cooperation, sovereign development, public control of resources, regional industrialization, and continental solidarity against imperialism. Again, there are repeats. We will sort out those repeats. Conference resolves on the Council of the Left and a program of action and the discipline of unity. Conference resolved to establish a Council of the Left as a standing instrument of coordination. The Council is not a new party. It will not contest elections in its own name. It will not replace existing formations or override their autonomy. The Council must be based on equality among participating organizations. No single formation shall dominate the Council. Political parties, trade unions, community movements, youth, women's formations, cooperative and solidarity economy structures, students' organizations, faith, religious formation, traditional leadership structures, progressive intellectuals, international solidarity formation shall participate on the basis of mutual respect, democratic engagement, and unity in action. Its purpose is to coordinate joint campaigns, shared political education, continuity between conferences, collective intervention, unity in action. It must be democratic, accountable, transparent, and rooted in working class and people's formations. The first meeting must take place within 6 weeks of the close of this conference. Conference adopts the first program of action organized around the 7 strategic clusters: economic transformation, work and livelihoods, industrialization, democratic trade policy, critical minerals, monetary policy, and alternative economic plan. That's the first cluster. Cost of living, public services, and social protection, the second. land and food sovereignty, and local democratic economies, fourth. Public health, NHI, social reproduction, fifth. Social violence, community safety, and working class unity, six. I think it's six. Criminal justice and just transition. We have added a new element, comrades, of internationalism, Pan-Africanism, and anti-imperialist solidarity as part of the new cluster. Each cluster must have a working group, responsible formations, clear timelines, allocated resources, and 12-month measurable outcomes. The Council must ensure that the program becomes a living instrument of struggle rather than a conference document. The left cannot rebuild working class power through declarations alone. It must build the capacity to organize, to educate, to mobilize, to strike, to campaign, to negotiate, to do research, to communicate, and implement. Unity is not silence. Unity is not the erasure of difference. Unity is not surrendering political identity. Unity means acting together where we agree, debating honestly where we differ, and refusing to allow our differences to be used by capital, reaction, and imperialism to weaken the people. The conference resolved to adopt this declaration, establish the Council of the Left, and develop an alternative economy, support campaigns, mass action, strikes by unions and communities, campaign for the right to work, insourcing, state-led industrialization, developmental finance, democratic oversight of trade agreements and foreign loans, strategic use of critical minerals, food security, public service, local public ownership, worker ownership, cooperative ownership, community ownership, defend and protect NHI, campaign for Cuba solidarity and anti-blockade bill, campaign for strategic delinking from imperialist dependency while deepening African integration and alternative finance system. Coordinate solidarity actions with the oppressed people across the world, establish teams around social violence and community safety as a central organizing platforms, rebuild political education, and affirm the leading role of the working class in socialist transformation. The rest, comrades, is a call for action. The last conference leaves with a responsibility to the millions who are not in this wall. The unemployed worker, the young person denied a future, the student crushed by debt and exclusion, the women who fear violence, the person with a disability excluded from full participation, the LGBTQ plus person facing discrimination, the family crushed by the cost of living, the migrant scapegoated for a crisis they did not create, the farmer, the mine worker, the informal trader, the pensioner, the nurse, the teacher, the cleaner, the security worker, the shack dweller, and the rural poor. They did not send us here to perform our divisions. They are entitled to expect that the left and progressive forces can unite in action, name the system that oppresses them, contest state power, transform society, fight for a future based on dignity, equality, peace, land, work, public ownership, and socialism. The conference called on working class to assume its historic leadership role, to unite the oppressed, organize the unorganized, lead the struggles of communities and workplaces, and become the decisive force for socialist transformation in South Africa. The future will not be given to us. It must be organized. Conference of the Left begins this work. It does not end it. Forward to working class leadership in the struggle for popular power, forward. Forward to unity in action, forward. Forward against capitalism, neo-colonialism, and imperialism, forward. Forward to public, social, worker, cooperative, and community ownership, forward. Forward to land justice, forward. Forward to the right to live without fear, forward. Forward to peace and international solidarity, forward. Forward to a society organized around social need, not private profit, forward. Thank you, comrades.
Comrades, I think we can sing to it. It's very important. This is inspiring. Just 2 minutes. Let's have a song. Comrades, it's just a simple matter of procedure. We need to adopt that declaration. I think it needs a mover and a seconder. I'll ask you, Comrade Maibul. Oh, okay, where's the mic?
Thank you very much. I'm Lazol Ndamase, the Secretary General of Africa Maibuye Movement. I would like to commend the drafting team for the strategic trust of the declaration, and therefore move for the adoption of the declaration. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Comrade, I've pointed you could. I see many hands.
Thank you, comrade. Good evening, comrades. Good evening, comrades. Good evening, comrades. Are you still wide awake? My name is Jethro Shabalala from African Congress for Transformation. I would like to second the proposal. Thank you.
I have two hands. I'll ask the hand at the back and I'll come with you, comrade. Sorry? Where?
Yeah, thank you, Chairperson. Yeah, my name is Absen Makaung from Bolsho, is part of South Africa. Comrade Chair, I want to make the following submission, not objecting to adoption, but there are some submissions here. One, call to abolish the position of the deputy ministers. Madlanga Commission serves as terms of reference to say they do not have a role to play. Where possible, they must also reduce the number of the ministers, because in some departments you get more than one minister, so they are consuming a lot of resources unnecessarily. Second submission, it is about Chapter 9 institution, to say they must be depoliticized. Thank you, Comrade Chair.
Thanks. Point noted. Comrade Carl, you raised your hand. Oh, where's the mic? The roving mic will come to you. Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Comrade Chair. And let me also commend the drafters for a very well-written document in front of us. But, Comrade Chair, there is an issue that I think we need to clarify. Under paragraph 4, which deals with land, we say that the land question remains central to transformation. Land stolen from colonialism, apartheid, and capitalist accumulation must be returned to the people. The conference stands for redistribution, restitution, security of tenure, and expropriation of land without compensation. And we must put it very clearly, without any mistake in that paragraph. We cannot have a situation where we qualify the issue of expropriation of land without compensation. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Sorry, comrade, on my left, someone raised their hand here.
Thank you, Chair. I raise also to accept the work that has been done by the declaration team, but we just wanted to add something on Cuba. I think, comrades, you all know that there is a threat of United States invading Cuba because of its failed war in Iran. So we thought this could be added on the declaration that this conference, we express our rejection of threats of war on Cuba and the use of sanctions on the people of Cuba to promote regime change. That's the addition that we wanted to put on Cuba there. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah. Thanks, comrade. Can you please submit what you've written to the, so that it is properly captured? I know you wrote it down.
Thank you very much,
yes.
Chair. My name is Lamapecha. We, as the Progressive Women Movement of South Africa, we want to align ourselves fully with the Conference of the Left Declaration and the work done by the steering committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you, comrades. I need us to move.
Chair?
The conference, unless there's something else that I haven't.
Chair?
We're very clear, we're moving.
Chair, can you notice me?
Where are you calling me?
Yeah, Chair.
Okay, I'll start it this way. I'll ask the comrades from MKP to talk, and there's the other one who's saying here, I'm not sure what it is.
I'm here, Chair. Here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Not yet, you'll come after. Let's start with MKP.
Okay, thank you, Comrade Chair. Comrade Chair, we want to raise a few issues that were discussed in the steering committee, which I think maybe were missed by the drafters or for some reason or another. The first one is not a very important issue. It's related to the one raised by the EFF on land. We had repeatedly raised the issue of restitution to be coupled together with redistribution. But we also support the other formulation that includes land expropriation without compensation. And the issue of restitution, comrades, as I said earlier, I didn't want to be too technical. It's very important. It's a different thing altogether to redistribution. In the Constitution, it's that issue where they say that restitution must go up to January 1913, which is a travesty of justice. Restitution of land has to go to 1652. And so we don't have to spell that kind of detail here. But the issue of restitution must be highlighted because it must not be confused as being the same thing as redistribution. Okay, so, and we raised this here, and we also raised it in the committee. So somehow it was missed here. Then, yeah, on the Phala issue, we were going to raise this very strongly because we differ with the position that was articulated by the GS of the SACP, that the issue must be shelved simply because one organization here is not happy with it or has to consult and so on. That I think cannot be the basis of how we operate. Of course, all of us, I'm sure, every organization here will find something there that they may fundamentally not agree with. It's very simple. We all have a right to then take those matters to our own organizations and all that. If somebody says to me, why did you agree to this and that? I'll simply say, it's not our resolution. It's a resolution of this conference. And to the extent that it might not reflect this or the other, I will deal with it in my organization. And if we feel so strongly, then we will disaffiliate or whatever it is. But there's not one organization that can say just because they are uncomfortable or they are going to go and consult, when there is sufficient consensus in the House, then the resolution should not be passed. But I'm not going to push that too far because the resolution itself, which has now been supported, does indicate some of the aspects of that Phala resolution. The only issue that we want to put as a matter of principle is, and again, it was raised even in the plenary very sharply, but has just been ignored, is that issue we raised here in plenary, which really in plenary there was no opposition to it, which was the specific pronouncement on socialism. Comrades were saying this again as a word of caution. We are not against that pronouncement per se. It's probably our end goal. But we must be tolerant of the fact that we come from organizations, some of them are the so-called broad church organizations. And that we need, I think there is sufficient in this resolution to position us as a left force and an anti-capitalist force at that, not just a left force. Yeah. But there is no justification. I don't want to give a theoretical lecture, but there is no justification to pigeonhole us to a particular part of the left, just because certain people prefer that, and by doing that, exclude certain other sections of the left. And as I said, I don't want to be repetitive. There must be a reason. We must trust the wisdom of the people who positioned this conference as a conference of the left, which was correct. If they wanted to have a conference of socialism, then they should have said so. Or if they wanted a conference on communism or all the things that we believe in, then they should say so. Okay? So, and that does not mean that we're against that. It's a question of tactics. And was putting that very strongly, comrades, because it's something that at least some of the organizations here, obviously, as I said earlier, it's I did mention, I think, I don't know whether it was in this forum or the other one, that the MK party is going to have its own conference in the next month, and some of these things will be resolved there. But we really want to put this issue to the House and appeal that it must be addressed, comrades. So and we don't want to have a situation where we have to qualify or go out of here and make clarifications and so on, because then that's going to weaken everything. The other point is there's something about contesting state power, which is an improvement from the previous formulation. But that point must be put more strongly than just contesting. The purpose of this gathering or the association or whatever you call it is to capture or seize state power on behalf of the working class and the marginalized. In other words, we're not just people who are just going to march and have campaigns and complain and sit in and all that. Those we're going to do, of course. But the point of the exercise is to take state power so that we can use that state power to improve the lot of our people. Thank you.
Thanks. Comrade from the MKP, I think to make our work easier, it would be good if you help the draft committee with the wording, restitution, the point you raised earlier about restitution, including the last point that you raised. And even on the issue of that you want to raise about a differentiated approach towards socialism, I think it will be an issue for the rest of conference to work on. But where we are right now is for you to submit so that your point is heard very clearly. And we don't have to be bogged down on just a single issue. Thank you. Comrades, someone on the...
Okay, Chair? Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. Continue.
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity, Chairperson of the session. My name is Simon Rendani Munyai from South African Industrial, Commercial and Allied Workers Union, the affiliate of SAFTU. SAFTU is not here this today. I will be representing only SAICU, the affiliate. Yeah, from our side point of view, as SAICU, we've been consistent to say we want conference of the left or coalition of the left to be similar to the one of Brazil, a coalition of the left that brought Lula Inácio da Silva into power. That particular collective of organization, civil society organization, and trade unions in particular, united under one banner to indicate that we must be united in terms of adopting a minimum program. So we are happy this conference of the left has adopted a minimum program. But from our side point of view, we have realized that the system is not similar to the one that we have seen while we were at Salvador de Bahia and also in Belém do Pará in Brazil, whereby we've realized that those particular organizations, they've worked together. But on this one, particularly on wedding, particularly on Council of the Left, that particular Council of the Left, it looks like it's saying it will be led by the political parties. Then the trade unions will be maybe B. Then the civil society organization, including the student organization, will fall at maybe category C. So in order to avoid what Comrade Joe Slover, the former chairperson of the Communist Party, once asked long time ago on his document or seminal paper, on has socialism fallen with the question mark? Why Gorbachev? He clearly indicated about the Stalinism, the Stalinism tendency. So in order to avoid what Joe Slovo warned us about on Stalinism, we need a council of the left which is more inclusive, which means even that particular table, it must be inclusive. It must be political parties, it must be trade unions, it must be civil society organizations. So it can't be the organization of the political parties, because if it's like that, it's not a conference of the left, which means we are still pushing something like a vanguard. And in a vanguard, you are saying you are advocating to replace capitalism and replace it with socialism and ultimately communism. So we are advocating for what we've seen in Brazil, Frente e Trabalhadores Esquerda, front of the workers and the left wing is what we're advocating for. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, comrade. Your point is taken. Comrade Ivan Jim. Oh, no, comrades, I understand. If when you lift that, you mean it for me to see you. Agreed. We'll do that. I've asked Comrade Ivan Jim to speak, and then we'll have Comrade George after that. Oh.
Amandla. No comments, it's few points. I think that the EFF on the expropriation of land covered us. We just worried there is some language that says it will happen where it is appropriate. We think that need to be removed. We're happy with the formulation that EFF is making. Secondly, we're not sure how to persuade MKP. We think that we're in the conference of the left, and you can't go to the conference of the left and be surprised to hear the name socialism. But you're making my life difficult, because if you clap hands, MKP might harden its position. My point is that the working class struggle we're pursuing is about ending oppression and economic exploitation. For that to happen, we must be able to conquer not only the state, but the labor surplus value that the working class produces. And once we do that, the outcome of that will be socialism. And I'm saying I think that the drafters must help us and help MKP, because we will not be able to pull ourselves out of what I've just explained. But I'm sure you can write a resolution such that it expresses what I'm saying in the manner I'm expressing, but simultaneously be sensitive to the fact that there are political parties that are here who are not ready to express themselves on socialism like the way NUMSA is extremely comfortable, from each according to its needs, to each according to its ability. I'm just saying we can't hollow ourselves out of ourselves. Socialism is what guides us. So I wish to persuade that there must be a formulation that can accommodate that without taking us, I don't want to define. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Comrade. Comrade George, can you please get a mic closer to you? The elder Comrade George Masham.
Thanks, Chair. Like I'm saying, I'm a guest. I'm not representing any organization. I'm a guest. Firstly, well, I'd like to start with the MK party. I think I'd like to agree with Comrade Dali Mpofu. In our, what is this in here? What do you call this? On our board here, we say building a left movement for working class and popular power. We didn't say for socialism, for working class and popular power. In the same way, we didn't say that we are building a movement for African people or for black people, but working class and popular power. It is in the trench of struggle that will come to agree or disagree whether it's socialism or not. And I think at this stage, that should be sufficient. And we'll put our different views in the struggle under that banner. That's why I say I would like to agree with MKP. And I'm saying this because when we say the left, I thought, well, we mean all the people who are against the status quo as it is in South Africa today. Some of them just want to amend certain things in the current system. They don't want to change it, let alone socialism. But it's good that we move together. We might end up convincing them that, well, ultimately we must go to socialism. But let that be the result of the struggle. And right now, power, because when the working class is in power, then to do what the working class must do. That's the first point. Secondly, I think it's a question that I want to raise. I'm making a proposal here. It's a process issue. Their report left me mentally constipated. It's too long. It's good for us to have that document. It's a reference point. But the Council of the Left, could it please help us draw up a pamphlet containing these issues and not end up there? Roll out that report, a series of leaflets throughout the month or whatever, taking section by section of this document, so that if I meet a pamphlet, I'm getting into a taxi or we can read and discuss it there. But this long document and the English we are using there is good for university discussions, but where I come from in the countryside, this English will be very difficult for me even to translate it when I'm standing there. So can we have pamphlets drawn from this, leaflets drawn from this, and the Conference of the Left will then be present in people's minds, because it won't just be one event of reporting. So I was asking, I accept well the report. I was asking whether the Council of the Left cannot be mandated to help us draw up pamphlets, not report on all these things. I mean, people must get the time to digest what we've discussed. I mean, I don't want to go to extremes, but it will be good in due course if some people who have got a linguist can translate these things into Zulu or into Xhosa, Venda, Shangaan, and so on in the long term. Because not for us, we who speak English here, it's ordinary worker who must ultimately come to appreciate what we've discussed. As I sit down, I would like also to say that it will be good, or maybe let me leave, okay, the point I want to make, sorry, to the back here. All the demands that we're making in the economic sphere ultimately cannot or will not, maybe it can, will not be implemented by the current government. Because a government, from the literature that some people talk about Marx here, a government in the capital society is an administration instrument for capitalist interests. So what you must fight for, because you don't have political power, the working class, you don't have political power. That's why we say one political power. When the working class is in power, then to be able to deal with all these things. That's why I'm saying that it's important that in the struggle, we also make sure that we develop towards a common ideological perspective. We can't do that here on behalf of the masses out there. We can go and battle on the ground. And I would like to say that one important aspect that must deal with is the political and ideological education, where we'll contest ideas amongst us here until we hammer a particular direction where we agreed. But we can't do it here and on behalf of the workers out there. One meeting here as organizations and the political parties and so on. Let the workers themselves come to decide on this thing. And then when we succeed, it will be the working class and the people who have won, not particular organizations or particular whatever. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. We had to accommodate the elder comrade. I see many hands now. Do you want help me with them? Which one? Okay, I had the last hand I had was with the president of AZAPO, but I recognize you on the floor. We'll have you speaking. Let me finish this properly. We'll have you, a new comrade. Where? Oh, Kasatu will also give you, that is very important. Those three, and then I'll take the others. I've seen. Yeah, we'll come to them. Thanks, comrade.
Thank you very much, Chair. Now, I'm standing here myself to direct myself to MKP. And I'm doing this again to try and engage, try and reason, and see if we can find one another. Now, I must start by declaring that apart from AZAPO, apart from being a black conscious organization, but we are a socialist organization. I don't know why we also think, and I suspect we are right, that MKP is, in a sense, also a socialist organization, or it aligns itself in that direction. But I understand the comrades have explained the tactical and strategic issues. Yeah, not that they are anti-socialism or against socialism, they don't like socialism, but they have talked about tactical, strategic issues. They explain them very well, and I understand that. But now, again, the difficulty that I have coming from AZAPO is the position at which this debate is now coming up. Now, it would have been great if this debate had come up right in the beginning. Because if it come up right in the beginning, for instance, we as AZAPO came here, when we see the things and whatever we're engaged, we read the documents, and the documents, the founding documents, they're saying socialism, socialist, left, left, left. And then when we go and engage our AZAPO, they say, we like this. This we like. On the basis of this, go and participate. On the basis of this, go and participate. And then at the end, we then go back to them and say, that which you said, we must participate on whose basis has now been removed. We are unable to explain ourselves to our constituency. Now, there are also issues of terms and concepts, for instance, and the comrades from the MKP know very well. They know, and I can't say anything to them about it. Once you mention the term left in a bourgeois democracy, that means nothing else but socialism. In a bourgeois democracy, it means nothing else but socialism. In other words, it becomes a synonym with socialism. Again, Once you mention in a bourgeois democracy the term left, we have also said, without saying so, that whatever you're talking about must be led by the working class. We have said that. Once just when you say left with a capital letter L, that's exactly what you are saying. Even if you remove socialism for that matter, you are then confronted with another problem, that in the body of whatever we're talking about here, the principles are saying anti-capitalism, anti-capitalism. Now, if you're saying anti-capitalism, then you've got to ask yourself, if you're saying anti-capitalism, you remove capital, what are you left with? Socialism. Now, if we are saying this body is a revolutionary left body, I'm underlining revolutionary. If you're saying it is revolutionary, you then means it is anti-capitalist. If you're saying it is anti-capitalist and revolutionary, you mean that it must remove and fight and overhaul and overthrow and destroy capitalism and be left with what? Socialism. And then if you do not want to tell the people up front, you will be failing as a revolutionary because you are not framing discourse so that the people understand that you don't want capitalism, you want socialism. Then again, you are confronted with another very, very difficult problem. And that problem is that if you're saying we must say nothing about socialism, we must come here, you are now saying to the people in the world that we are happy and comfortable with capitalism, with the bourgeois order. That's what we might be understood to be saying by other people. If we do not say it up front, that we're anti-capitalist and then we are going socialism way. Why? Because we are left. Why? Because we are revolutionaries. Why? Because we believe in the leadership of the working class. And if we do not say those things here clearly, then it means we are not left. If we're not socialists, then we are not left. Thank you.
Thank you, Comrade Tlakema. Where's the comrade? There was a woman comrade who wanted to speak. I thought I heard you first.
No.
Oh, for Kosatu. Okay, thanks, comrade.
Thank you very much, Comrade Chair. I realize that because I'm a man, when I raise the board, you can't see me. So I send a woman to raise the board. Chair, we rise on 2 points. We had identified a number of issues we wanted to add in the declaration, not add but correct in terms of them. So we are going to submit those. We're not going to speak on them now. We're going to submit. But we rise on 2 areas, Chair. The one is that we've very much covered by Azapo and NUMSA on socialism, while at the same time we understand that the leadership of the class and the Communist Party will understand this better, must always be mindful not to be too ahead of the class it's supposed to lead. Allow them to walk with them so that they reach the destination together. Otherwise, you will be taking a walk and not leading because nobody will be following. So we are very much covered by NUMSA and as of that, what MKP is submitting, if it is accepted to remove us fighting for socialism, it affects the entire declaration where we say we are anti-capitalist. We must remove those words. Because you can't be anti-something and you're not for anything. So if we agree that we are the forces that are anti-imperialist, it means we are for the opposite to the imperialism. If we are people who are gathered here, who are our struggle is anti-capitalist, it means we're for something. What is it that we are for? We must name it. What are we declaring at the end of the day if we can't say socialism, but we will say anti-capitalism? But I hope leadership will nuance the point that we're not dismissing the different level of readiness about accepting this matter, including the fact that where we come from, we might not have canvass this matter properly. So we accept the leadership to not to walk ahead of the rest of us that are here, that if we want to reach the destination together. So that's Comrade Machamba kind of persuaded me to make the point I'm making. The last point is that we do have a mandate, Comrade Chair, to discuss corruption as COSATU. We didn't say we don't have a mandate to come to this conference and discuss corruption. What we don't have a mandate of is a selective, targeted exclusion corruption. So when we want to we are saying two things on that part of Palapal. One is that we didn't come to the Congress, to the conference, knowing that there are resolutions to be taken other than the declaration that will come from the discussions at commissions. We saw the resolution on the formation of the Council of the Left. We interacted with that process. We supported it. That's why it is adopted here. We have no problem with that. And a resolution that has not been part of the Commission's report, that has not been part of a process to develop a resolution to come to a conference, risk distorting the entire body of this Conference of the Left as a whole. That's why we are protesting again. Now we are proposing that we must defer some of the resolution, not just this resolution of the corruption, but the corruption is covered. The way the declaration is, we are covered. We have no problem with it. We have no problem whatsoever the way it is captured in the declaration about corruption. What we are clarifying is that we thought when the GS was explaining what was our concern earlier on, probably was not properly heard. We heard him and were covered by him. Hence, he was proposing to defer this matter for further discussion. But the declaration covers our discussion on corruption. So we're proposing that if Congress wants to discuss, let's open the discussion about corruption so that the outstanding, unresolved corruption matters, Pala included, state capture included, looting of state property included, those are pending court cases included. We must not be arms deal, we must discuss corruption in totality, not be selective and be exclusive. That's the point we're having. We have not shied away from discussing corruption, comrade. But we cannot pretend that some of us are not facing criminal and corruption charges as we speak, and then we focus on one hand. We will be hypocritical of ourselves. We risk distorting the good work that was done by this conference, including the declaration by the drafter of the. That's all true that I wanted to comment on.
There's a comrade with glasses. They say I have been avoiding to, yeah, at the back there. At the back. Yeah. Please say your name too.
Yeah, comrades, my name is Manla Seshi. Also, to acknowledge the work that is done by the drafting committee there. The proposal I have here is that to urge conference, I'll read it, to urge conference to pronounce its uncompromising rejection of the attempts by right-wing white supremacists under the Zionist adventures and urging to secede, to balkanize our country. Our country is a unitary state. It is a common property and sovereign property of her people. It is not up for the taking by imperialist auctioning and by any other means. Our strategic maritime, space, mineral assets remain in our custody and for succeeding generations. We shall not concede their birthright to Zionist imperialist grab. Thank you, Comrade.
Comrade, your suggestion will come in the resolution. I suggest you submit it to the committee too, your draft. But comrades, there's an update, and I want the meeting to the conference to move. There's a suggestion that some of the issues we have been raised here have come to some form of accommodation and conclusion. Comrades, our scribe will read that out to us, please.
Okay, comrades, I think it's referring to the issue on socialism. If you have not been in this conference, you'll have noticed we've been talking about socialism throughout the last 3 days. So from the drafting team, comrades, just a purpose for we have Chairperson, I think.
Comrades, please, your hands down. Let the comrade read this. This is helping conference so that we can move ahead. And let's not intimidate people who are on the floor. It's not revolutionary to do that.
Thank you, comrade. Yeah, I'm speaking here as part of the drafting team that is looking at this conference declaration and the resolution. So we have consulted MKP, regarding the point they were raising on socialism. And we thought that we can indeed formulate it in a manner that can be acceptable to the conference. Conference of the Left is clear of its strategic goal: a society beyond capitalism. For many of us, this is socialism. At the same time, we must be as broad enough to unite all forces who stand with the working class, and the left, an important addition, including those who don't identify themselves as socialists, but they are on the side of the working class and the left. And those, further addition, who are committed to fighting exploitation, capitalism, and neoliberalism. Those are the formulations after consulting MKP that we are putting beyond this, so that we put this thing to rest. I leave it there, comrades. Sure.
Thank you, comrades. There are two things that we are left to do. There are resolutions of conference beyond the declaration. And there's also the constitution of the Council of the Left, where even a suggestion has been made. I'd like us to go into that immediately. The unfortunate thing is that the comrade the scribe will have to come and read the resolutions. And if he's ready, we'll give him a platform. Comrade, the resolutions.
Okay, there's only one resolution, comrades, and I tried to explain earlier that what we have done, we have a resolution, which obviously the one that you commented on, it was discussed in the commission, and those resolutions are now contained in the resolution that we are tabling for the conference. This resolution is a resolution on the Council of the Left. If you have seen our presentation on the Council, on the declaration, we've got a specific section that talks about the Council of the Left. For mere formality of the agenda, we've got declaration, we've got Council of the Left. So all we are pleading, Chair, is that the conference not only declare, approve the declaration, but they also formally says they approve the resolution on Council of the Left. We will actually have that shared with you as a separate section, but it's already in the declaration. I think even on the screen, it's now on. But what we want to emphasize there is what is the outcome. Council of the Left is established, and it will be made up of participating organizations, and that within 6 weeks, we ask the steering committee to convene, the current steering committee, to convene the inauguration of that Council of the Left based on the agreements reached from here, including the program identified in the declaration. So that's all I can say on that. I didn't want to go into detail of every aspect of that. Thank you, Chair.
Comrade General Secretary of the Communist Party of South Africa. We have covered most of what we want to do, but I still see, and I don't want to open the floodgates, I still see hands being raised as if we are suppressing voices. But comrades, we need a formal adoption of what has been suggested by Comrade Scribe, and I think that's where we should go. As APO moves, state it openly so that we know. Yeah? Or as APO moves, COSATU seconds. Is that agreed? Thank you. Comrade, I know you'll say I'm suppressing you. We gave you an opportunity to speak. And I'd like you to submit your document like you did in the steering committee so that... Sorry? Yeah, please bring a copy for our communications unit to capture that. It's very important what you're saying. I know you say it's on the website, but let's just submit it properly like this. Thank you. Thank you, comrades. I really want to see that direction. That's all I want.
Amanda. Comrades, the steering committee did receive, at the end of its meeting, wait a minute before you distribute that, Comrade Sam. Comrade Ace, wait, don't take that copy. The steering committee did receive a presentation, in fact, a submission without discussion, by the Spartacists in the meeting, at the end of the meeting. So the comrade was not present. They just sent this thing to the website, to the media team, before it was taken to the steering committee. When the steering committee looked at the content, although we must indicate, the steering committee agreed in principle with the establishment of an anti-imperialist front. We agreed with that principle. However, we said because it was not submitted and deliberated upon, the formulation was taken as back on issues that the steering committee also discussed at length. So the comrade must be honest, Comrade Jesse must be honest to this conference that he came late with this submission to the meeting, when the meeting was almost closed, when we have finished the agenda of the meeting. And he says, I've got this thing, and he started circulating it actually. That's when Comrade said, yeah, but the issues that are here are the issues that we have discussed. 1.5 hours that we spent discussing those matters. So it would be unfair to get this thing now and present it here and then throw it into the website of the Conference of the Left without appropriate discussion. What I could say, because we have agreed with the one to persuade the Spartacists, is the fact that since we have agreed with the framework of the entity that needs to be established to continue the anti-imperialist struggles, in 6 weeks' time, the Council of the Left discusses this matter and roll out a program. So we don't have to go back into that because this matter, the matters that were there were quite taking us. But it took us a long time to come to appropriate formulation that managed to satisfy all of us. So I want to persuade them that they accept this thing, despite that the document they've already circulated. So that we have a kind of a way to do things. Otherwise, then we'll become chaotic ourselves. Will that be all right, comrades? Thank you very much.
Thank you, leadership. Comrades, we're moving towards the closing. There are and I'm not sure how we're going to do this. We're saying at least 4 reflections from formations representing the breadth or the extension of the conference to pronounce themselves. I know it has already been said. That's why I'm saying it's a bit of a difficulty. But we were going to say, let's have a voice from organized labor, from communities and social movements, the cooperative society, the solidarity organizations in economy, the youth and women. You see, that's too long. But we really wanted to say they are all embraced as part of this whole program, and we're not suppressing those voices. But I think in the way in which we've run the conference, we've had those voices expressed. I'd like to suggest very strongly to conference that we're not suppressing that opinion. It is part of the conference of the left, and when necessary, when we formulate council, they'll be represented there. It just shows that we're aware of the points that have been raised. Thank you. And I know I asked the GS to make an intervention at some stage, but I'd like to do it more properly now. We need to do a vote of thanks. Or the closing address.
Amanda. No, comrades. Firstly, let me thank you very much for staying up to this time. Our program had indicated that we'll leave here around 3:30. It's already just after 4:30. Let me thank you for attending this Conference of the Left on behalf of the Steering Committee of the Conference of the Left, and thank all organizations that participated on an equal basis, comradely, and indeed without undermining one another. And I think we're learning from each other on the basis of different cultures and traditions within the left movement. Let me acknowledge the ambassadors present here, the ambassador of Venezuela, the ambassador of Cuba. Earlier on, we had the ambassador of Vietnam, our stalwarts of the liberation movement, former political prisoners that are here, delegates that are here from different representation, from different organizations, especially our international guests. We had about 36 comrades from the international community. We appreciate their messages as well and their participation in the various commissions. We must indicate that we had expected 79 representatives of political parties. We ended up with 103 political representatives of political parties. We expected 300 delegates. We ended up with 340 delegates that were finally admitted, excluding the day passes that we issued since yesterday. These day passes were of comrades who said, we are seeing what's happening, we are interested because we extended the chairs here to about 400, so we agree that they should come and participate. And some of them have made some significant participation. One of them is a dear friend, Advocate Dalim Pofu, who was not in the original delegation of the MK party. But of course, they can't deny that he's their member and he's one of their important members. So he came on that participation and he has made important contributions. We appreciate that. I think, comrades, from the SACP side, we also appreciate that you trusted us with this initiative and allowed us to convene this conference despite hesitation sometimes in the past. We are just, on behalf of the steering committee, are happy that ultimately we're able to meet like this, all of us together under one roof, common mission. Nothing should ever divide us. And I think the last point we were discussing demonstrates how we can reach out to each other on the basis of respect and listening to one another's views. And I want to appreciate even the acceptance by MK Party, despite how strong they felt, when a formulation was presented, circulated amongst their leaders, they agreed that there's no need to be hard on this matter. We still have a platform for further engagement. That's the comradely spirit that we are expecting in the Conference of the Left. We equally appreciate the consideration by Shosholoza Party when they had strong views and when they were persuaded, they admitted and came back to the conference. We are looking forward that as we bring this historic and tectonic conference of the left to a close, we do so not with complacency, comrades, but with renewed determination and revolutionary agency and militancy to resolve more practical economic crises facing the working class in our country. The conference has once again confirmed one fundamental truth, that the working class of South Africa can no longer afford fragmentation, passivity, and sectarianism, or endless tactical paralysis. It is in this regard that the ruling class that has always remained united, no matter what crisis they face, and continue to exploit our people, must now know that the working class itself remains conscious and is organizing itself against capitalism. We are also appreciating that imperialism, as it is organizing and coordinating itself globally through finance capital, military alliances and sanctions, debt and neoliberal institutions, the workers and the poor and the left in general should not remain divided in silos and in different formations and tendencies that often march separately while the people suffer together. We are together and we will fight together. Our comrade Vijay Prashad had indicated this in his passionate plea to us. The working class has no reason to remain divided at this hour of its need. For unity, comrades, we are building principled unity on the basis of material conditions facing the working class, not on the basis of subjective factors satisfying the leaders. We are building our unity not on personalities, but building unity forged in struggle in our communities, in the factory floors, everywhere else, in the mines, in the farms, in schools, institutions of higher learning, our TVET colleges and universities, and in the streets where the poor confront the brutality of neoliberal capitalism every single day. And we leave this gathering with a clear mandate to build a fighting left movement rooted amongst the masses, to restore working class militancy, organization, and to advance people's power, and to intensify the struggle against imperialism, neoliberalism, austerity, privatization, and capitalist exploitation. Various commissions have outlined key major issues that must be followed. And the Council of the Left, as it meets in about 6 weeks, has to make sure that we are soon on the streets on a program, comprehensive program of the working class. We are the majority in society. We must be seen as the majority, and we must be the hegemonic force in society. We reject, indeed, the commodification of life itself, as our programs have indicated. There's a process here to commodify even water. And we say water cannot be a commodity. Neither should electricity be a commodity, nor healthcare should be a commodity. Education should not be a commodity. Land itself should not be a commodity. And we have actually addressed this question fundamentally, that number one on our priority program is the restoration of the land to its rightful owners, the African masses. I think this conference has expressed itself that it will not accept delaying tactics and long postponement on the question of the transfer of the land to its rightful owners. So the Council of the Left, practicalizing what has come out of here, should embark on a comprehensive program so that we are not just ignored, like one minister said, Kodongwan. He said they can march as much as they please, but they will do nothing about it. I've seen a fight. Here's Comrade Noma Mbata from Israel Abantu Foundation. She has been fighting with the guys in the presidency there, the deputy minister in the presidency. After Israel Abantu led African farmers to the union building to demand support, protection for their livestock, to demand access and ability to farm. Those people did not understand that this is a different organization. They thought it's another march that can be ignored. Now the battle has raged. We appreciate the continuation of the battle. That should be the characteristic of our posture. We don't march and walk away and that's it. So the agenda of neoliberalism has failed our people dismally, and its privatization model has deepened inequality, and austerity has destroyed public services. Monopoly capital continues to dominate our economy, while millions remain landless. This, we said, must come to an end. Therefore, the time has come for a decisive left program that we have adopted here today to be pursued through proper mass action until we are able to have the state capacity to implement this program. And of course, the conference has become a beginning of a coordinated mass program around urgent demands of the people. These demands have been outlined in the declaration comprehensively. I just want to highlight something in these demands. That one of the clearest campaigns and programs that we must stop urgently is the program of privatization and outsourcing of our SOEs, electricity, water, and Transnet that is run by Busa through Vulindlela program. This is too urgent as well. Of course, there are other questions that the comrades have raised. I'm not going to go into the detail around that. And of course, in closing, we want to say the unemployed people in our country, the workers and the migrant workers, we have appreciated this question. They do not exploit one another. They are themselves victims and are all exploited by capital. This conference declared firmly that it will not tolerate xenophobia. Neither should it tolerate illegal immigration into our country. That it will not tolerate sexism, nor tolerate patriarchy, nor racism, and ethnic chauvinism. Because we believe as the working class that an injury to one is an injury to all. We have also agreed to address comprehensively the woman's question in our organizations. And this has been sufficiently raised even on how the table or the steering committee is composed. And we must thank you, Comrade Nelvis Kagama from Azapo. You were able to help us because you have got a women's organization and your president was able to share one of our sessions. but majority of our organizations, we can do better on this matter of the women's question in our movement. We have also agreed that we need to intensify the war against imperialism and the war against imperialist wars. In other words, we need a commitment to peace as a people and to condemn all wars. And in this regard, on the basis of imperialist wars that have been launched across the world, in Africa, in Latin America, in the Middle East, in Asia, that we should stand with Cuba against the criminal blockade and the continued aggression from the United States and the continued threats from the United States, including the recent US indictment of Army General President Raul Castro. We condemn this in the strongest terms possible. We have also condemned, comrades, the continued naval blockade of Cuba by the United States. And we must commend the Russian Federation, as well as President Sheinbaum of Mexico. The only two countries that in the midst of this crisis of naval blockade, they were able to send oil shipment to Cuba. This is very important. We should be encouraging sovereign states of the world to make solidarity contribution to Cuba on the basis of oil, because now the country is forced to have blackouts continuously because they can't have oil to put the lights on. We equal comrades stand in solidarity with the people of Venezuela against US sanctions and destabilization, against the continued threat and shameful intends to control Venezuelan oil. And we call for the immediate release of President Maduro and Celia Flores. We have asserted in the same context of anti-imperialism our continued stance with the people of, in solidarity with the people of Iran against US-Israeli war of aggression and continued threats, as well as against militarization in the Middle East, including on Palestine and Lebanon. Here at home, we have expressed our support for democratization aspiration in Swaziland, as well as to call for independence of Western Sahara. In this regard, comrades, we are meeting at a critical point in time. The left must no longer only issue statements. We must also deal with the immediate condition facing our people. The coming mass action against the cost of living crisis must also become a turning point in rebuilding militant working class struggles in our country. Our workers have called on this conference to join them through COSATU and NUMSA as they launch massive campaign against the cost of living crisis. Because we understand, comrades, that workers cannot survive while food prices rise, transport costs soar, electricity becomes unaffordable, and unemployment destroys entire communities. And therefore, this conference has developed concrete task and program. We need to continue to strengthen the capacity to implement these programs through building local working class assemblies, strengthening community struggles, coordinate labor and social movements, advance political education, defend progressive trade unionism, and mobilize youth and women, and deepen solidarity across organizations and joint work amongst ourselves. And we have agreed to prepare for rolling mass action against hunger, inequality, unemployment, and continued capitalist exploitation. History will certainly not forgive any hesitation in a moment that demands more courage. And the future indeed belongs neither to neoliberal decay nor to reactionary populism. The future belongs to organized working class. Let us live here, comrades, with discipline, with unity, with revolutionary optimism, and indeed with unshakable confidence that we will confront capitalism and its vices with the capacity of the masses to transform our society. Lastly, I want to thank our comrades, our staff members, especially staff members from the SACP, who did most of the work in preparing this conference. And also members of the steering committee who also sent their staff components to assist us in preparing logistics for this conference. Every single thing that you see here was done by this comrade. We really appreciate them. Thank you very much. We equally appreciate the contributions by our intellectuals and scholars that participated in various formulations, making sure that we're able to reach out to one another with ease, making sure that they were able to engage various components as much as the SSCP itself that embarked on a series of bilateral discussions with various organizations for this conference. We really thank you very much from the bottom of our heart, and I want to thank this leadership in Frontier for uniting yourself as you lead the working class of our country towards transformation, towards victory. Long live working class unity, long live. Forward to people's power, forward. Forward to a united revolutionary left, forward. Amandla. Thank you very much.
Comrades, this is a simple request. There are comrades who suggest, because we are here, let's take group photos outside or something like that to record the moment before we can all disperse. But it's really just a request that we record this properly. I know that people take pictures as small groups and so on, but this one is said to be a group of the whole conference. I'm not sure how they're going to do that. Maybe we should do it here. Yeah, rather than outside. But that's a technical thing. Thank you, comrade, for your solidarity, commitment, and comradeship in making this conference run very well. Thank you very much.
Ayasaba magwala awe ayasaba magwala awe awutubula tubula 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 bathi mama ngiyekele sengifuna ukuba isotsha mama ngiyekele sengifuna ukuba isotsha esibhami into encane tubula tubu ayasaba magwala awe ayasaba magwala awe awutubula tubula 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 awutubula tubula 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 awutubula tubula tubula awutubula tete chirema.
Comrades, members of the steering committee are requested to remain for the press conference. After the photo, members of the steering committee are requested to remain for the press conference after the photo. Thank you, comrades.
Comrade Mbulelo, can your team come and take the pictures? Are you ready?
Where's the official photographer?
Yes. Who is taking? Are they here?
Where's the official
Yeah.
photographer?
We have a picture.
Comrade. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. Thank you. We're moving, so we're now just going to go around seeking funds for this campaign, local government.
Omar, wait. Omar, again. Where is the wall? Una más.